What's up, YouTube? I've got some computer speakers on the workbench today. A coworker actually gave me this 2.1, I guess you would call it, setup. He just said that he had some computer speakers he didn't want anymore and gave them to me. I wasn't sure if they were 100% functional or not, but they seem to sound fine. And I've been testing them out. Flip it around to show you guys the model number. It's the Logitech Z313. One feature of this unit I thought was a little bit unique, or at least that I wasn't used to seeing, was the little controller it comes with. It has the power and volume switches built into it. So that gives you a little more flexibility as far as placement of the speakers. You can put them in a out of the way location without having to reach to turn them on and off. It has a decent length wire attached to it, so kind of a change from the traditional speaker mounted volume and power controls. When you watch this video, please keep in mind that my expectations for what constitutes a good set of computer speakers might be a little bit higher than the average consumer. I've been testing this system out for a day or two now and it seems to be pretty reliable. The sound quality is adequate. It's not bad at all for what it is, considering how small the speakers and the woofer cabinet is. I've had experience with a similar system in the past, and this one seems to have a few improvements over the one as I remember it. It's been many years though. The previous system I remember had a propensity to walk around the woofer cabinet, but this one has decent feet on it and doesn't seem to display that tendency. The woofer on this, or subwoofer they call it, but I'm not sure if that name's really accurate. It's really more of a mid-bass type woofer, but it has a very soft compliant suspension. The cabinet is apparently actually made of MDF because it has this California emission sticker on it. And not too bad. Certain songs on this system definitely sound better than others. Stuff with a lot of very low frequency content definitely sounds not as clean because you can tell that the woofer is a little bit smaller and really struggles to hit the lowest notes, but that's to be expected. Definitely for a set of computer speakers. It's not bad, and it's not all the sound quality. These have pretty good packaging like I discussed before with the remote, so the convenience factor is pretty good with this setup. And we're going to go ahead and take a look inside this cabinet here and see what the amplifier looks like and what the woofer looks like. Alright, here's a peek under the hood. Can't see it, but inside the enclosure is a small transformer up in this corner right here, so it's definitely a traditional AB type amplifier. The final amplification stage just looks like a little IC there. I'm not going to remove this heat sink, but they claim 25 watts RMS, 15 watts for the subwoofer, and 5 watts for each of the satellite speakers, which I think is probably a bit of a stretch. I'd say maybe half that would be more realistic. And I did have to snip the wires to get the woofer and the amplifier out of the cabinet separately because it's just soldered directly on and also on the board, but not a big deal. I'll reattach it later. And the woofer is about what you'd expect. Surprisingly, I found this whole system being sold as low as $23 at a local store. So really in the bang for buck category, this is not a bad deal at all for what you get for that kind of money. I went ahead and added these wire nuts to both ends of the woofer leads so that in the future I can get this thing apart without cutting any wires or anything. I think it might be kind of handy to keep this little amplifier around, even if it most likely doesn't live up to its stated specifications. It's just kind of a convenient thing to keep around since it has integrated crossovers. And I'm going to go ahead and put all this back together. I will say this, that wire for the speaker leads was puny. I think it was about 24 gauge. It was pretty difficult to work with, so find out here in a second if I got all the connections made correctly. I haven't put all the screws back in yet, but it looks like I got everything, all the connections made solidly. And I forgot to mention this before, this little setup does have some excellent stereo separation to the two speakers. So that's another positive thing I have to say about it. And for anyone who watched my previous video, I've brought this little Sony amp back and I've been listening to it paired up with the Frankenstein speakers a little bit lately, and just been enjoying that. But this video is probably getting a bit long, so I'm going to go ahead and finish putting this thing back together, and we'll do a quick sound quality test and also a woofer excursion test before I close this. Alright, on to the sound quality test. What we're going to do is we're just going to listen to the same music clip, first on the Logitech system and then on the Frankenstein speakers, which will be driven by the Sony D107 amplifier. And I'm going to use my Mac computer as the source in both instances. Definitely not a scientific test, and of course the camera's microphone is going to color the sound somewhat, but just to give you the general idea of what these things sound like, if possible through YouTube. Alright, here's the first test of the Logitech system. I'm going to go for a moderate volume level. Now to test out the Frankenstein speakers for comparison. Time for the sub bass test, and this is the track I'll be using, and it says to turn the volume down. Sub is under 6.5 inches, and I definitely think this one is. It looks to be about a 3.5 inch woofer, so we'll just see what happens. So my final impression of the Logitech Z313 2.1 computer speakers in a box system is not bad. It did a little bit better in the low bass test than I expected. And for the kind of money they're asking, this is not a bad unit. It's certainly not on the high end as far as build quality goes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't live a long life. This Sony amplifier was built pretty cheap for its time, and it's about 30 years old now and still kicking and sounds great. So if you can get this thing for $25, $30, not too terrible. And I also want to take this time to say thank you to my buddy for giving me this system to test out, and I think it has earned its place with me. I don't think this one's going to end up with a speaker destruction or anything nefarious. I think I'm going to hang on to this computer speaker system for future use. So, as always, thanks for watching, guys, and subscribe if you like what you see. There'll be plenty more audio related equipment reviewed and checked out and explored here in the future.